You're live with Janet Phelan. I would like to have the caller, if you can hear me, hold on for a moment. Janet Phelan is joining us live from Mexico with a special report. And we will have a caller in a moment to go on with Janet. But Janet, are you there?
I certainly am.
Yes.
And good evening to you, James.
Yes, the caller is probably not talking and not hearing anything, but we have to hold on here because I am the only guy, minding the store at the moment. So I hope she's holding on, or he is holding on. So why don't we go right into your talk here and what your topic you're going to talk about, and then we can bring in this individual as needed.
Okay. I really appreciate the airtime for this. We have a serious situation that has developed in Santa Clara County, California. You will recall Cary-Andrew Crittenden. You interviewed him on your show last year, and you and I discussed his plight during a period where he was again incarcerated. Cary-Andrew Crittenden, or should I say Reverend Cary-Andrew Crittenden, has made it his cause to expose corrupt government officials who are preying on elders and disabled. And his situation was launched some time ago when he initially filed a complaint regarding a county council attorney named Larry Kubo for allegedly facilitating fraudulent eviction of a disabled woman under conservatorship. And from there, it seems that Kerry's situation really just went south. So he's been jailed now several times, basically on charges which relate to his free speech about government parties. And one of the parties that he has been jailed in the past for is a man named James Leonard. He's with the district attorney's office. And I do want to say that Kerry is again in jail and is in jail on charges which are being essentially obscured from the public. So this creates a bit of a alarming situation because the laws don't allow them being those in government to obscure and hide as they are the circumstances surrounding this arrest.
So he's arrested, and yet the reason why is not being released.
Well, this is where it gets serious, and we're going to get into this in a minute, because basically I have contacted the district attorney's office, and I asked for the charges, and they gave me some codes, which penal codes, which when you look them up are pretty much the same as what he was, penal codes under which he was charged before. But I went then and asked for the police report surrounding this arrest, because the charges themselves don't really illuminate what it is exactly they said that Kerry did. So, we'll just get into this part right now, since you brought this up, because this is very important. According to Government Code 6254F2, which is the law that governs the release of the public records in California, the government may withhold certain types of investigative reports. However, there is a court case basically called Kuzar, which says that if an individual is in custody, these reports have to be released. This is done in order to obviate any concerns about secret arrests, unknown people disappearing under unknown circumstances, that kind of thing. Well, as it turns out, the district attorney's office is having a lot of trouble comprehending this court case, which I, as a member not of the legal profession, certainly know about Kuzar and the implications of Kuzar, but it appears that the district attorney's office is having a hard time wrapping their head around this. Now, I'm going to read a communication that I got from a member of the DA's office named either David Angel or Angel, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Here we go. This came in on Friday. Dear Ms. Phelan, on 1/13/2016, you asked for the police reports associated with Mr. Crittenden's arrest on docket number C1527283. As I'm sure you can appreciate, there are significant privacy interests attached to investigative reports. As such, it is exempt from the California Public Records Act pursuant to Section 6254 of the Government Code. Accordingly, we cannot provide you with the police reports you have requested. You can probably get those from Mr. Crittenden or his attorney, yours, David, Angel, Angel, whatever. Now, well, actually, I can't get them from Mr. Crittenden because Mr. Crittenden's in the can, okay? And his attorney, unfortunately, doesn't appear to be terribly interested in defending Cary-Andrew Crittenden. So I contacted the district attorney's office, and I actually called Mr. Angel and also sent him an email with links to Kuzar. Can you believe that the district attorney's office doesn't know that they have to release these reports? I mean, this is incredible. Now, I want to say one more thing, because previously, when Kerry was in jail, I made a similar request and got a response, a very, very tardy response from the DA's office. They sort of lost my request during the period that Kerry was incarcerated. And when he was finally released, he was in jail 40 days that other time. They said, well, you know, yeah, you're right about Kuzar, but he's not in jail now, so we're not giving you the report. So, they're gaming us. They're gaming us left and right here. So I called Mr. Angel and, basically told him I would send the citation for Kuzar. I did. And I got a response, gee, I'll take a look at this. Well, good deal, Good deal, Mr. Angel. Take a look at it. And then give me the bleep, bleep, bleep report. Because this is just, this level of obscuring the actions of public officials when they directly affect the freedom and possible viability of a citizen, it's just simply unacceptable. So I want to go back to what we were saying earlier. Some of the postings that Kerry had done resulting in this previous arrest, which was he was held for 40 days, had to do with someone within the district attorney's office named James Leonard. Now, I have a certain method by which I research public officials to see if it looks like they might be dirty. And one of the ways that I do this is to look at their loan history. This is public information in the Grantor-Grantee Index, and I have had quite a bit of success in the past in finding what looks like excessive loan activity, bringing it to the attention, let's say, of a supervisor and having cases dropped. I've actually had quite a bit of success with this. What is the issue about loans? Loans are a very good way to launder bribes and payoffs. It's very simple how it works. Judge X takes out a loan, and Mr. Y pays it back. So this is a method. So lo and behold, I looked at the prosecutor, James Leonard, and I found that there were 9 home loans paid back between 2003 and the present. That appears a bit excessive. He's taken out these loans and paid back 9. It does not mean that he's laundering money, but it's a red flag. I also looked at a judge that was assigned to Cary-Andrew Crittenden. This judge looks like he had 7 reconveyances on his history in his tenure as a judge since 1988. You just don't know. But I basically forwarded this information to the DA's office with questions about this loan history, and lo and behold, Cary-Andrew Crittenden was released from jail. Okay? So
I think you're really onto something big with that loan deal. I think
I
that's a little oops that they didn't think anybody would figure out.
Well, I want to say something else about this judge, David Sayno, who was assigned to his case. what is of interest that I found on the grantor-grantee index, specifically concerning David Sayno, was that he had a number of liens by the tax board. So apparently he's just not paying his taxes. So how does someone basically ascend to the pristine position of a judge adjudicating other people's so-called shenanigans when they don't even pay their own taxes? Okay, so these were questions that were tendered, and Kerry was let go. And actually, in a number of communications, he expressed to me directly that he thought he was let go and the charges were apparently dropped because of this level of research. So, but once again, he is in jail. Now, I've received some letters now from Cary-Andrew Crittenden, sent to a contact in Southern California and then forwarded to me via email. And according to a letter I've just received from him, he states he is being charged with posting something online. Again, this is all freedom of speech issues apparently. And what he is charged with with having posted online, which was so about a public official, so reprehensible, was posted during a period he was incarcerated and did not have access to a computer, Wi-Fi, any sort of means to post anything. So here we go. And
now, is it something he posted? Is it posted, 2-3 weeks ago, or they actually have a date time that they're referring to the post?
This is what, I don't have all the information. This is just in a letter.
Okay.
And Kerry said he couldn't possibly have done it because he was in jail. Now, at the time. Now, I want to mention something else concerning this because this all just sounds fantastic, right? I mean, the legal system just doesn't go after people who are trying to help disabled and elderly people and try to falsely prosecute and criminalize them like this, do they? Well, I just want to state that I've just finished reading a book, which I was forwarded by an attorney named Robert Grunstein, who was disbarred. And he was charged in Ohio for doing something with documents, changing documents which were on file in a court when he had all the proof in terms of ATM receipts and things like that he hadn't been anywhere near Ohio during the time period. He had been in Vermont and he had the proof. Well, according to the book, which is actually dazzling, it's entitled Bad Minds, High Places by Robert Grunstein. According to the book, this evidence that he had was not only ignored by the judges in Ohio. At some point, it was actually deleted from the record as they sought to basically ruin this man's life. So we have a continuity now in terms of evidence of how the justice system is targeting people who are attempting, as was Cary-Andrew Crittenden and as was Mr. Grunstein, attempting to reassert the rule of law and attempting to basically, through activism, inform other people about problems in the legal system. So that is my report, and I would love whoever has, I believe it might be Goldie Moore who has called in, and
okay,
I would
we will go
love
through
to hear what she has to say. Thank you, James, for the time.
Hello, caller. Thank you for waiting. You're on the air. You're on the air with Janet Phelan on Feet to the Fire.
Hello. How are you this evening?
Okay. Okay. Janet, here, can you hear okay?
I'm doing great.
This is Goldie.
Hi, Goldie.
And I have with me Mr. Eugene Zorick from the Death of the Justice System. And we'd like to educate you on what's going on with Kerry. And basically, it's the same thing going on with everybody in this country. And they are targeting many, many of the activists nowadays. I just read tonight on the internet that another one has been arrested. I think that makes 7 this week. They're getting really tough on people who speak out against the government. And Kerry has been an advocate and activist for many years, along with myself. I've known him on the internet for many years and met him personally, and he's a really great guy, and they just keep targeting him and targeting him, which is really a shame. And they're targeting everyone right now. My friend Eugene has written a book about what's really going on out there that so many people don't know. They have their tricks, their tactics, their manipulations. It's a game, and they suck you into this maze, and you never get out. And they play for years and years and years, and Kerry's in that maze because nobody knows how to get out of the maze and stop this from happening. So we'd like to talk a little bit about what's going on with Kerry and the fabricated charges. I've known him for years. It all started with him helping a friend and advocating for a friend who was disabled. And that's when they first started to attack him, I should say, and fabricate charges against him to shut him up because he was speaking against the housing and the dilapidated building that his friend was living in. And after he started speaking up, they came and said Kerry couldn't be around her anymore. And when they stopped him from seeing her, she died because he wasn't there to take care of her because her guardian provided by the state neglected her. And that's when this whole thing started. So he was up and mad, and he went after the HUD homes. And I even did some of the research for him at that time and found out some amazing thing and who owned the buildings and who was profiting of all the money from the state. And it was disgusting what I had learned at the time, being new to this kind of activism. And I educated him a lot. And as soon as he started getting educated, they start attacking him more. And that's when this whole thing started. Then they fabricated charges. And then he went to court. And basically they said, well, you better sign this agreement agreeing to these charges, else we're never going to let you out of jail. Okay, and they bullied him into agreeing to it. And that's a common tactic they do to everyone nowadays. That's a part of the game. From there, he got out of jail, and he amped it up, and he joined a lot more people in a big force, and we connected with all the advocates around the whole nation. I know he's got at least 5,000 people on his book, and we all care and love for Kerry very, very much. He's one of a kind. He's in an area where there's just not too many activists. So it has made it very hard for him because he's alone in his field out there in Stanford and Palo Alto, California. And we need more activists to speak up. And it's hard because, I live hundreds of miles away from him, and I can't get there to do all these things. I myself, the government keeps me poor, just the same as Kerry, and it makes it hard for all of us. But we're gathering our voices, and we're standing up, and we're speaking up at the risks of losing everything nowadays. People are losing everything. I know Kerry lost everything because of this. Left him homeless and destitute, and have just made his whole life a misery. And we need to figure out a way to get him out. That's why I brought on Eugene Zorek. Eugene, would you like to tell the public about what they're doing to Kerry?
Well, they've been doing this to almost everybody. They forge your transcripts. They forge your stuff. And the point is, if you get stuff on them and you allege, like the woman before said, it doesn't matter because it's your stuff. What I did was turn around behind them and get them to admit the fraud in their own evidence in their own way. So actually, the court reporters turn over the transcripts of your trial or your hearing or your status. To the other side, they doctor them with a case that looks like yours. Give it back, and you're out the door. You lose. When you go into that courtroom, there's usually tapes or some kind of record kept in the court report. There's two things. That's the basis for the cheating, see. So when she's doing that, that's not the official record. The transcripts you get are not the official record. The official record of any case, any charge, anything is the audio tape. And we've got that in a book where Judge Posner from the Seventh Circuit says that the transcripts or anything you get from the court reporter are not the record. The record is the tape, and nobody realizes they can get these audio tapes. So basically, now let's put ourselves in Kerry's position. If he's not given anything, the audio tapes or anything else, he's not given due process, which changes his case into a federal case under the First Amendment. And they have to deliver those tapes then, or it vitiates everything. That's fraud. So basically, it's anybody out there, the homeless, the child people, everything like that. If they can't get the original record, then they're not getting due process. They can move then to federal court, and the U.S. attorneys are the ones entitled to getting you your tapes.
Okay, now what if someone...
everybody's being cheated.
What if somebody gets a tape and they transcribe it and it's not doesn't match up with the record that they're
Okay, now let's look at. That's a good question. Now I'm going to show you how that works.
Okay.
If you take your tape and it's doctored to someone else, that means they doctor the evidence, they lose, you win, it vitiates everything. There's a thing that I got out of there when I was in there. See, I grew up in the system at 4, 5, 6 years old, and I had a photographic memory, and I used to remember everything they were doing. So they were teaching me how to game work because I was with them. You know what I mean? My uncles, grandfathers, people like that. And the basic thing is once you control the courts and you control the documents, you control everything. And then the cops go out and arrest you and do that stuff, and everybody's doing their job because they're patronage workers. Everything depends on your job. So basically you're in a form of slavery where you actually got to kick back 10% of your salary. This is from Chicago where most of this stuff started. And you kick it back, and then you keep your job. Your job has become a little easier. You don't have to do that much work. They count on you becoming lazy, and then you're in that job, and you'll just do what they tell you to do. So if the clerk's there and she says, Mr. So-and-so, there are no tapes, she walks away and tells you there aren't, she's lying to you. That's breaking the law. They are actually breaking the law. You got to realize that in the book, it shows you the cases, Smith versus the court officers, that Posner, and that's the chief judge, says, hey, the only original record of any case is the audio tape. The rest of the stuff is hearsay, even when she types out on that to you. In my case, when I went to the court and I won it pro se. There was like 90,000 cases and everybody lost but me since 1972 because it was a sham and it was a first run around the First Amendment. So you got to realize when they're not giving you your audio tape, they're breaking the First Amendment. They're not giving you your due process. The First Amendment runs all the other amendments. So basically, when you do this, you are now not getting a fair trial. So actually, Kerry can ask for his tapes. And there's a rule called Rule 11. It's in the withdrawal issue. It's in any court. And federal courts hold up among all the other courts. If you do not get everything in your hands, they cannot file another motion. They can't make amended motion. They can't do anything. You can ask for a directed verdict, and you win because the government is the one, the city, the government, the ones that are holding him, who are holding these records. So you'd have to look up Rule 11. We've got that in the book, too, and due process. What I did was get like 49 things that they did, and they admitted they cheated. Like they were trying to doctor up the docket. They were doing this, and they were sending it to my ex-lawyer and telling him how they were going to try to cheat me. But unfortunately, we intercepted that. We even got a trial of a transcript that is so forged, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's done by 3 different typewriters, and it's a federal trial in the Seventh Circuit. And everything in this book, we guarantee you is true. They can't do a damn thing about it, deny it, or say anything. And they're doing it to all you people, but the people just don't understand or catch on right away. And your lawyers are letting them do it because they got to keep their jobs. They got to keep their living. They screw up against the courts, they ain't going to have many cases. This is just simply you're being cheated. The law is just right and wrong and common sense, and that's how the game is played. And they actually take cases that are similar to your cases when they take your transcript, match them up how those people were turned out, and you're turned out the same way.
What is this book? What is the book that you're referring to?
Goldie will tell you. It's the Death of the Justice System.
Death of the Justice System, Eugene versus the City of Chicago. The case of the fatal transcripts. We do have a Facebook page and an upcoming web page, but anybody can go, and I educate people on what's in the book and how to expose what they're doing to everybody in the courts. It's very informative. There's so many tricks of the trade a lot of people don't know, and how they doctor the recordings, and they must match up. What they say and what they give you has to be match up word for word, and a lot of times they don't. They doctor them. Another thing that Janet had mentioned earlier is about the loans. Okay, they do. Court systems have something called a shadow docket, where they these guys make up these fake cases and keep these prisoners in jail while they get loans on their Social Security numbers. And that's interesting that you said that, because one time Kerry had read me and told me about what was in some of this court paperwork. And he says to me, he says, "This isn't me." He says, "This isn't me." And he was reading it to me, and it was body shape, size, and personality of some other person. That goes back to Eugene's case in the book, where they put in somebody else's case into yours and keep you in jail so you don't know what they're doing. I've seen judges that have 3 or 4 houses in somebody else's name. And they also do other things like run warrants. There's a lady named Carol Keene who has a really nice YouTube account that it teaches you exactly how they run these dockets and how they buy things in your names. They're also doing it to the kids, the homeless. They're doing it to everybody. And it's very informative. But back to the book. In the book, we teach you the game that they're playing. And nobody is getting their due process because nobody is getting their tapes from court. Eugene is one of the only people that has ever gone this far. His case is in the Supreme Court. We're trying to get it heard. And once it's heard, they have to release everybody's tapes. We know they don't match up. It's part of the game. This is what they've done to Kerry. They have fabricated everything to make him a criminal, just like they're doing to everybody else. It's global fraud, basically. It's in everything. It's everywhere. And that's what we teach you, and that's what Eugene writes about in the book.
Well,
Eugene?
Basically, to tell you the system is, here's how I got the forged transcript. They do it like you're doing a play in Hollywood or doing a script. And I was on a show with Dean Stockwell called Against All Odds, because I was the only one that beat these guys. It was the same day that Mount St. Helens erupted, and they gave me more time because it was harder to beat the court system than it was for him to survive on Mount St. Helens during a blow-up. That's how bad Chicago is. I mean, it's unreal. And that's where this all started, from Chicago, when Daley actually stole the election from Nixon and gave it to Kennedy and put his people in power, like in the House Ways and Means Committee, and then they run the show from there, and then they show everybody how to cheat, and it's basically very simple. But the point is you're not getting due process if you don't get your tapes. That's automatic. And if you're not getting due process, the case is overturned, and that vitiates everything. If everybody went out and got all the tapes of all their statuses and everything else, and they don't match up, that's fraud. You don't even have to be in another case. I mean, it ends right there. So, in other words, the point is that's why they can't give you the tapes. That's why they're talking about this other. They do not match. That's why they win most of their cases. That's how they set people up and send them to jail. They change everything in there. Now, mine is really good because I got them on the first draft. What happened is I won my case pro se, And I was real good. I was the first one to win a case because even says in the writ of certiorari that I have there, they don't know who fired me. They don't even know who denied the writ. But I should go back in because it's fraud. And we will do that soon, go back in and show that it's fraud. And even then, Judge Brian Barrett Duff, that's his name, and we put all the names out there. Everybody that cheated, everybody that stole, their names are right out there. They can't sue us. There's not one thing in there that they can deny, not one thing, because 49 pieces of evidence come from them. They sign it that they're cheating. They sign it that they call them to know what's going on to my lawyer, who was too scared to take that, and I got the transcripts. But the major transcripts I got of the whole trial, which is a crooked trial, shows that it's done by 3 different typewriters, which that's impossible. And it's got all kind of crazy things going over the margin. Lines are different. And what Dean Stockwell and me were talking about, because I was an actor out there, is Dean Stockwell said that this is how they do a script in Hollywood when they're changing so they don't get lost. So you got 3 sets of numbers on 3 days of the 4-day trial. 2 are on the right-hand side, 1's on the left-hand side. Then you got a big set of numbers where they're forging testimony where they don't want to miss the place that they're forging. But unfortunately, they had to give me the transcripts so that I could sign my case over to somebody getting me all the stuff, money and everything I was involved in. And they didn't want me doing it myself because I was kind of smart and they wanted to handle that.
I have to kind of jump in here.
What happened was...
There's a little... Well, if you can finish, there's a little time issue we have here. I want to get you at the comments.
Okay, I would like to say something really fast before we go.
Okay.
For Kerry, we need to get somebody in there to ask for his transcripts and his tapes. If we can get to Kerry, you have to tell him either somebody on the outside or he himself has to ask his court-appointed attorney to provide this to him for his transcripts and tapes. Guaranteed they will not match. I understand they from what I've read, they want to do an evaluation on him. Well, anybody who speaks out, they do that too. It's common practice nowadays. Oh, you're crazy because you asked for your rights. Everybody's going through that.
Yeah.
So if we can get somebody in there to get Kerry to ask for his tapes and his transcripts, or somebody appear in the courthouse to request his tapes and his transcripts, guaranteed that will help get him out. Janet, I'll probably be talking to you at some later point so we can facilitate this in some way, shape, or form. Plus, we can write Kerry and ask him. But we have to speak up. We have to speak out for victims like Kerry, because who else is going to do it? And he's a great guy, and he doesn't deserve this at all whatsoever.
All right, now let me jump in.
Him under fraudulent charges.
Let me jump in here. And I noticed you have a Facebook page, Death on the Justice System, Eugene versus City of Chicago. I have liked that, and I have put it on my page. I want to get together and we'll do a show on this so I can give justice to the time. I mean, I appreciate you coming in at this moment and squeezing it in here.
We know.
Could I say one thing before this?
We know so much.
There it is. Judge Brian Barrett Duff makes this statement to the people. I can't give you your tapes, that's to me, because if I give you your tapes, I'll have to give them to everybody, and they'll be playing them on TV every night. And the guy that was with me told him, hey, I got these tapes from another judge down the hallway in a different case. He said, I can't give you them in these case. So this judge is actually saying in the writ of certiorari that he's denying the right to get the tapes, which is breaking the law, because your tapes are for sale in every court in the land, no matter what they tell you. He is actually breaking the law in the Supreme Court telling you that. And we got Lawrence Rosenthal of Chapman College down there in Southern California who stole out the oral tape from the oral argument. So basically, when we come into this, we can prove all this, and I dare any one of them to come on and deny this.
Okay, well, let me...
They're doing it to Kerry, and they're doing it to everybody else in this nation.
Give out contact information so people can contact you, and then I want to go to Janet for comments at the end here.
All right. I shall do that. Thank you very much. Let's get something together. Hopefully we can get together some more of our online...
Well, for now, people can reach via the Facebook page, which I have published, Death of the Justice System, Eugene versus the city of Chicago, and then we'll work from there.
Okay,
Are you
I
still in
have
Chicago,
3
by the
web
way,
pages.
Eugene? Eugene, are you still in Chicago, by
Oh
the
yeah,
way?
where it started. That's where we started. Sure, they can't do nothing. They can't do nothing about
No,
it.
I'm asking because I'm asking because I'm in Chicago. Well, I'm actually by Joliet.
Yeah.
I lived in Chicago. If you wanted to,
Oh,
we
you're
could
right.
actually-
We're right in Chicago,
Yeah,
back of the
okay.
yards, and we grew up with Daly's people and stuff like that when I was a little kid, and they were older, and they knew how they were going to cheat the system, and they taught everybody else how to do it.
All right. Well,
It's no big deal when they can't do nothing about it.
let's hold it there, and we'll be in contact, and we'll put something together. So I appreciate you both coming on, and I want to get to Janet for a wind up here.
Thank you.
Before we run out of time.
Okay, and Janet, please be in touch with me. Let's do this for Kerry.
You're muted. You're muted, Janet.
I said,
Oh, there we
I
go.
have your phone number, Goldie, and I'll give you a call shortly, okay?
Okay,
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this information.
give us a wind up here, Janet.
Right. Well, this is very interesting. I mean, a lot of individuals that I've spoken to are aware that the transcripts have been changed, that things have been deleted. And this issue about getting the tapes, I think, is very important. It actually reminded me for a moment of Watergate and the tapes, Nixon's tapes, out of which 18 minutes, I think it was, were deleted.
Yeah.
It's an MO, I think, that has been used quite a bit. And I'd certainly be interested in learning more about how to get these tapes and how to use them. I wanted to make a comment on something that Goldie had said because it was very important. She said they were going to evaluate Kerry. And concerning the letter that letters actually I recently got from Cary-Andrew Crittenden, they're going to force him into a psychiatric evaluation. And what this means for those in the guardianship reform community, they certainly know that these psychiatric evaluations can be the kiss of death. Because if they decide, based on their own reasons, to declare you incompetent, they can hold you for as long as they want to without giving you ever a trial. So they can hold you indefinitely based on an evaluation that says you're crazy, and you'll never get your trial, and you'll never see the light of day. And the other thing that they can do, as we know, is that they can put you under a guardianship, which is also, as we have talked about repeatedly on the show, an extremely dangerous thing to happen to a person. A person under guardianship loses most of their rights. They cannot decide where they're going to reside. They cannot, they are subject to the restrictions of the court and the guardian, which may simply decide to put them into a facility and throw away the key. So I think at this point, Kerry's situation is emergent. And again, I want to thank Goldie for coming on the air. And I hope everyone will be attending closely to this and following as this story unfolds.
And we need to have some kind of focal point for this. So when I do post this video, I will have somebody will send me something that will help people to focus who they can write to or talk to or what have you. So because this happened to Paul Pantone, and he had an evaluation, and they put him away for 4 years, and it was nothing but public pressure that built over time. We started on this show, and it branched out to many other places, and he was let free. So it takes that public pressure to put a light of day on it, and then everybody involved retired after that. So, and in Utah, which I think it's universal, you can't sue the judges and so forth afterwards. But anyway, okay, we're getting
That's
behind.
universal.
We're getting behind here, and this is important. So, and I'm glad I have control over things, so we can do this. Otherwise, it'd have to break earlier. But anyway, so we'll do this. I'll post this, and somebody, Janet or whoever, give me information so I can fill up that Facebook and YouTube page with information. So once again, Janet, thank you for your keeping your hand on the pulse and your eagle eye on things to bring this together.
Thank you, James. And I want to say very briefly, as of right now, JanetPhelan.com has mysteriously disappeared. I have no website at this point in time. I'm working with the company trying to, figure out what's happened. So people, if you want to contact me, please contact me through Facebook. Janet C. Phelan. Thank you.
There we go. All right. Thank you very much again. And we will talk to you next time.
Thank you, James. Have a great week. God bless. Bye.